How do you say the chief's last name?
El Cadino.
El Caldino?
El Cadino.
Cardino?
Yeah. This will be your big practice.
I'll probably.
Dino, like, hey, Dino. Was it one of the Flintstones
Dino.
or something like that?
Well, worst
geez,
case
yeah.
scenario is he talks to me about it.
True, he should know too. He said it. Anytime I work with somebody with a name like that, I'm always practicing.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. It is the October 4th, 2022 Board of Selectmen's meeting. We're continuing and reopening the public portion at 7:03 p.m. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to continue with scheduled business. A is seal of the non-public minutes.
So I'm going to make a motion that we seal the non-public minutes from RSA 91-A:3, compensation and reputation, except for minutes concerning the bookkeeper and Chief El Cadino.
El Cadino.
El Cadino.
We don't have a new fire chief.
I
It's El
apologize,
Cadino.
Chief.
So we're going to continue on. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mike. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So it's unanimous. We're going to continue on with item B. So this pertains to a resident's concern regarding the Pond Street and Marcoux Road paving. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to hear about the concern, validate the concern as necessary, and discuss a go-forward plan specifically for any concerns related to the Pond Street and Marcoux Road paving. So Mr. Levin, I think it was your email as well as you were on the meeting last time. So if you want to come up and introduce yourself and let us know what your concerns are.
So Anthony Levin, up on Marcoux Road. So when the street was paved, there have been a lot of concerns over the years about the conditions of Marcoux Road and Pond Street, even a bit of Heath Street, but it's pretty rough up on the road. The evaluation had asphalt reclamation, 1,600 feet of Pond Street, 1,300 feet of Marcoux Road. Less than those lengths, Marcoux Road was completely skipped. It hasn't been paved at all. The paving that was done, I can't locate any kind of a civil engineering report. The asphalt wasn't reclaimed. It was supposed to be graded. It wasn't graded. It was supposed to be widened, and it wasn't widened. If we paid, and the town paid for it to be all of those things with the reclamation and grading, et cetera, where did the money go? Why wasn't it done? The road, within a day of being paved, is already showing signs of deterioration. On top of that, there are several driveways. Mine is not one of them, but driveways on Pond Street specifically that have anywhere from an 8-inch to upwards of a foot drop into a driveway. It's now been packed with dirt, not hot top, not, one of the people happens to be elderly. As soon as it rains, it started washing away. There's been no response to any emails, any phone calls or voicemails. At the bottom of Marcoux Road, where it meets Pond Street, there's now a severe incline, and I'm not sure what the actual term is, but it dips down on each side. When it rained, it flooded people's driveways, it flooded the road. Logically, during winter, it's going to freeze. There's a house, rocks, trees, and ditches. So when you hit the brakes or you're trying to come down the road, even at a slow rate of speed, it's bound to be dangerous at a minimum. So those are the general concerns. During the paving, there was only one way in and out of this neighborhood, and it is Pond Street. Until you reach Heath Street, you can take a left there. There was a steamroller at one end blocking the road with no one there. And at the other entrance, like at the other exit or an entrance to Marcoux, the little loop, there was somebody with cones. When I had to leave for an emergency at work, I was told that I couldn't leave. And when I said I have to go to work, the answer was it's not my problem. And I then responded that it was, and that I needed to leave. It was made into this big thing. I don't know why we're pave half the road at a time. That's pretty standard. Let people pass. There's no emergency vehicles could have made it up there. No one could enter or exit. You know, the attitude was unnecessary. And so those are the overall concerns. The cost, the expenditures, I think it's later on the agenda with Mr. Melvin mentioned the rental and the truck. That hearing that there's a $50,000 budget, but seeing almost $400,000 a year go into
I'm sorry, are we still talking about Pond Street and Marcoux?
the money in general.
Okay, so that's agenda item D,
Okay.
so.
Sure, I'll save
just
it.
stick with that, yeah.
So yeah, those are the concerns that I have about the road, and the general conditions, the paving, how it was done, civil engineering reports, et cetera. So I think that summarizes it.
All right, thank you. Any other residents, probably specifically in that area, have any concerns they want to share? Anybody from the residents? So, go ahead. If you don't mind, just,
David, I live on Marcoux Road.
Could you step up to the mic and
just so they can hear you on.
My name's David. I live on Marcoux Road, and I can just attest to pretty much everything Anthony just said. None of the road was reclaimed. None of it was graded prior to being paved. And instead of, properly grading the road, they tried to grade it with hot top. So there's some areas of the road where it's literally an inch, maybe 2 inches thick. In other areas, it's 8 to 10 inches thick. Those areas that it's 8 to 10 inches thick are already starting to crack and break and fall off the road. There is a ponding issue at the bottom of the hill now that was never there before, as well as the big dip that Anthony's talking about. And just, I don't understand why Marcoux Road wasn't paved to begin with. It was in the proposal. It should have been done. It needs to be done. It's in terrible condition. So yeah, I'm here because I want to know what's going on with my tax money and why it's not being done properly. We're paying all this money to have the work done. Why is it not being done properly? It seems like a waste of money to me. If it's not going to be done properly, it's not going to last. And then what, we got to scramble to try and get the funds in a year or 2 years to fix the road again? And then also, why bother wasting the money doing the cold patch at the beginning of the year? Everyone knows it's cold patch, it's a garbage product, it's not going to work. So why do we waste the money cold patching everything if we were just going to pave it? I feel like there's just a lot of waste of money here going on. And it's very concerning to me because it's not the road agent's money. It's the town's money. It's the citizens' money. It's the taxpayers' money. And there seems to be no oversight as to what he's doing with our money, where it goes, how he spends it. And that's very concerning. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other from the resident side? Okay, so inevitably, the road agent's here, if you want to.
Going to try to keep this as brief as possible. I hope. So there's been some concerns by 2 residents. None of them founded, and I'm going to dispute them right now. So first, and both residents spoke about it, that it was a reclamation project. Anybody can go to the town engineer's report and go to recommendations. And options and considerations include reclamation of base, new binder, and/or shim and overlay. Not sure if everybody understands what shim and overlay is,
talk to the mic, please?
and I will.
Yeah, thank you, so I can do this.
So a shim and overlay is an industry standard method of repairing an existing road. Roads that is out of shape. I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm not a big fan of shim and overlay. I like to do reclamation, full depth, rebuild it. You're going to get longer life out of the road. Here's my problem. It's monetary. People throw out money that I have no accountability for my highway budget. Of course I do. Board of Selectmen are one group. The bigger group are the people in TV land. I'm an elected position. I don't do my job, I don't do it right. Next election period, vote me out. No hard feelings. I'm off, I got plenty of stuff to do. So the comments of it wasn't done properly and it was supposed to be reclaimed, that's one of two suggestions by the town engineer on how we repair the roads. If I had more funding, I would do all reclamation. I don't. Now, Pond Street and Marcoux were never on any document anywhere shown where they were going to do them together. If you're going to interpret that, then all the roads that were listed in last year's road survey, which is 10 or 11, at the dollar amount of $1.7 million, you should have done them all this year. Might as well. Oh, wait, I don't have enough money. So let's move along from that. So the claims of putting dirt on the side of the road, that's a method. That's called a shoulder of the road. We go down there, we peel off all the overburden that's on the road from years. Best from history, the last time that road had any major work done was in the 50s. Did it need it? Absolutely. I made the call to do a shim and overlay. If I was to do any other method, I wouldn't have got Country Pond and Wilders Grove Road done. It's not the only road we did this year. The Country Pond and Wilders Grove. And we squeezed that in because we had some funding. So, commenting on methods and procedures on how roads are done, if you have no working knowledge of infrastructures or heavy highway, probably doesn't do you any good. Doesn't do it to me. I'll listen to people's concerns. Absolutely. If there's a better way of doing it, let's look at it. I have almost 40 years of road building construction. I have 15 years of being the road agent in town. I think the residents, for the most part, think I do a pretty good job. Am I always going to have one or two? Absolutely. Can't please everybody. But the comments of dropping off roads, I urge every selectman in here. I urge everybody in town. Take a ride down Pond Street tomorrow. You got nothing else to do. Ronnie, who's sitting in the back row, the only one town employee on the highway department, has got thanks from residents in both locations. They're appreciative that we've improved the road. They don't run around nitpicking roads, which they have no knowledge of how it works. Comments where we've dug up neighbors' yards, that's in the town right of way. That's inside the town property. The utility poles on the road are inside the town property. We're very cautious of not to interrupt or ruin people's property. We don't run around here like it's the wild, wild west. We don't do that. And any other claim of that is not correct. As far as the crews being disrespectful, I went there at the end of the day, called the crews. Nobody said anything. There was one supposed doctor who I know, he lives in Kingston. He flew out of there in a rush, said he had some emergency. Listen, there's only one way in and out of that road. We could not shrink the paver down narrow enough to do it in 2 passes. That road had to be done in 1 full pass all the way down. It's just the way we had to do it. And there was a Newton police detail there the entire time. I heard nothing from the Newton PD that there was some altercations or some type of a problem that went on that project at all. Okay, so did you go there and voice your concern to the Newton PD that took place?
We couldn't get there.
You couldn't get to the Newton PD?
Guys wouldn't let us out of Marcoux Road.
So let's do this, because
Hold on a
let's
second.
do this, because we can't hear you, right? Because you're not on a mic, so let's,
Come back
let's,
to the board.
yeah, if you want to come back up and just respond to that, or Mike, do you just want to finish your thought and have him come up? Which,
No, I'd like to
you
hear
good?
what you have to say.
Okay.
There was an officer there. The officer was up at the bridge. The guys were blocking off the two ends of Marcoux Road. We couldn't get up there. And even if we could get out of Marcoux Road, we then had to go down Heath Street and couldn't get up to the police officer to talk to the police officer without going
You know,
all the
Main
way.
Street turns around and comes
Yeah,
up.
unless you go all the way around and come back down.
Okay. Fair
And
enough.
if you'd like to see pictures of the road, I have pictures of the road. I can show you the cracking road, literally 10 minutes after you guys paved it.
Ooh, no, I'd like to see the pictures of the crack road tomorrow. I don't need to see them now.
Shows you tomorrow. It's not a problem.
No, you don't need to show them to me at all. I already went down and did a survey of the road this afternoon. The road's acceptable. That guy in the back did an outstanding job on that road.
Mike,
Outstanding job.
Mike,
I know so.
question for you. So this was a shim and overlay.
Correct.
To give an example, just from my own edification, when you did Heath last year, right? That you did the second half of Heath last year. Heath Street.
Well, Heath was done in
The years all run together,
5
but
sections.
right. So was Heath Street a shim and overlay?
No,
Right, because
it was a reclamation.
Heath Street was just there was like
Well-
cavernous. Yeah.
Well, it needed to be elevated in certain areas, yeah. So
Yeah.
shim and overlay would not work for Heath Street.
So second question, this is, because you alluded to it, we actually have one highway employee, so you're subbing out this work essentially, right? Just so
That's
everybody
correct.
understands.
Yeah.
What is the common practice? What would you do with a small neighborhood like that to notify them this is coming up? Is it just that digital sign, or is there?
Well, there's different ways of notification.
Yeah.
Sadly, and I mean sadly, this was literally done after Country Pond was done and Wilders Grove was done. We looked at the numbers. We had some funding left. That was the worst road in town where I could use a shim and overlay before the upcoming winter. So we did it. And again, I urge anybody to go down and look at that road and tell me what your thoughts are. What's being portrayed here is it's falling apart, it's in terrible condition. Yeah. Again, I've done this for almost 40 years now. I got an idea how this works. I know what industry standards are. That road's fine. Don't take my word for it. Go down and look. If you want, I'll have the town engineer come in and do an evaluation of that road. If that would make everybody happy, we'll pay the money and have the town engineer do an evaluation. That'll be up to the Board of Selectmen, because we're spending funds that I personally think are a waste of spending funds, but we could do that.
In terms of Marcoux, when's that on the schedule?
Cannot tell you.
Okay.
Cannot tell you. We, Highway Department, Selectmen, at another date and another meeting, can reevaluate how we go about how roads are scheduled over the years. I do every 3 years, the town engineer and myself doing a road evaluation of the town. That's where we came up with a 1.7 million, and that's low. Don't misunderstand. These are the worst roads in town. I could go to every road in town, and there's some type of deficiency on it. But these are the ones that make the bottom of the list, the worst roads in town. What will happen is, depending on the winter, these roads, right now, some are worse than others. The winter season, because that's all this is about. The winters up here break up the roads, we go fix them. It's a never-ending cycle. Not just in this town, every town, state of New Hampshire, across the country. More so up here because we have winter freeze and frost. I won't know until probably next April. Very disruptive in the back if you're talking. Well, somebody's talking back there, and it's very disruptive. Yeah, knock it off, I'm talking. So,
I might need you at future meetings just to
That's
say
fine.
that.
No, listen, I'll sit over there if you want. Not a problem.
I usually ask nicer, and they don't do it for me, so.
Sometimes it calls for nice,
I
sometimes it
did
doesn't.
take a ride down.
And I'm glad you did. And
Yesterday.
what was your take on that road?
I didn't see any cracking. I looked specifically towards the driveways as I went down, and most of them, to me, looked like they were tapered down into the driveways themselves. I didn't see like dirt pushed up against them, and I certainly didn't see any huge crack in the pavement. Now, being a truck driver and driving on a lot of roads, when paving is done, the steamroller rolls it. Not necessarily does it all come flat. You might see a little bit of what looks like openings in some of the tar that's there, but it's not a crack, because I got out and I looked at some of it. So,
Oh, and there's another comment that was made, that some of the driveways were not paved. If they're a dirt driveway, we don't pave it. If it's a dirt driveway, we go down, we do the pavement, and then we marry it in with wrap or gravel. If it's a paved driveway, we have transitioned all of those paved driveways with pavement. So again, what that allegation is, I have no idea. But somebody can go down independently and do a review of the thing, and we'll move along from there.
So, and I'm asking not only the road agent, but the residents, you know, if somebody did work on my house, let's say they put an addition on my house or something, you know, I might have a punch list of things I'm concerned about, and then I kind of bring them back and we walk through the punch list, and they might tell me that something, oh yeah, absolutely, we can take care of that, or they might say that is not something that is broken, you have it the wrong way. So I'm wondering, is it a crazy idea to put a meeting together down there? Because we're in town hall right now. We're not in the neighborhood. We can't see the road, you know. Would it be a crazy idea for the residents who are concerned to take a walk down there with you, or Ron, or whoever?
Well,
or the
listen,
town
we'll do it
engineer?
whoever you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
My recommendation would be the Board of Selectmen meet with the residents, and you guys do your own independent evaluation of that road with the residents. I don't need to be there. Again, I've been doing this 40 years. I don't need to go back down and look at it. If you guys come back and tell me, Mike, then I'll go and meet with you guys, and we'll address whatever concerns there are.
But if we do that, we're kind of creating a middleman, you know what I mean? Because I've been down there too, like Bob, and I know next to nothing about paving. It looks fine to me, but until I'm standing there with somebody who might have a concern, you know, it doesn't do a lot of good to share with me, right? I can only send
Well,
a
that's
message.
that's a valid take.
Yeah.
Then use the town engineer. Go down with the town engineer.
I'm just spitballing here. Anybody
No,
else have any?
I drove down there. It's not far from where I am, so I took the ride. But, you know, like Matt said, like I talked to you, I'm a lay person at it. So what I'll do tomorrow is I'll actually go down there and park somewhere and walk that part that was actually paved. And I'll come back to you, and you might say to me, Mike, I get it, layman's terms. This is what it means, but at least if I see anything, I'm going to have a conversation with you.
And that's fair. That's fair enough. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'll commit to that tomorrow.
Well, I got to talk about one other thing on the process of that road. And I will say to you guys and everybody else, I am not on social media. I will never be on social media. I have no interest to be a keyboard warrior in a faceless place where people make allegations and don't have anything to back it up. All set with that. So, that being said, why, there was a question, and people screenshot and send them to me. Why was the road not completed in a timely fashion? Again, there's a process that goes along with this. The road's paved, the road's rolled, the shoulders are not done. The pavement has to take some sort of curement before we go back down there with heavy trucks and machines and beat it all up and crack it. So that has to sit for a while and cure, usually a week or two. Our neighboring sister, Kingston still doesn't have shoulders done, and the roads were paved in June.
So is this like getting a brand new driveway when they say you can't park on it for 5 days?
Similar, but we have, which is part of the infrastructure of the road.
Yep.
Construction. It's called the shoulders of the road.
I understand that, yeah.
We put gravel in there after we're done paving. That holds the integrity of the road together. It's part of what is the road construction. But we can't go put gravel on those till at least a couple weeks after the thing cools, so we don't damage the road. But there were allegations, I saw screenshots, it's faulty, it's shoddy, it's not finished. There's a progression that takes to build a road. It'd be like telling the house builder, how come the roof's not on? Oh, because they only framed the first floor. We'll get there. I just want to bring that up because I saw some screenshots about that.
I think somebody had something to add back here, so.
It's a little different. I've never met you before. I don't know you from a hole in the wall. And I feel like you're taking
You
this
gotta-
like
You have to
Microphone?
face the microphone or.
I feel like you're taking this like I have a personal agenda or a personal attack on you. I don't.
Well, that's good.
I don't know you from a hole in the wall.
Okay.
And if you wanted to take a walk down the road with me, I'd be more than happy to do that with you. What I don't want to happen is what's going on right here, right now at this meeting with the attitude and the yelling and the being super aggressive. But if you'd like to take a walk down the road together, it feels pretty aggressive to me. Every time I've tried to talk to him, he's tried to yell at me like I'm his child or something. I'm not his child.
So let's.
But anyways, so my point is, if you'd like to walk down the road together, I'd be more than happy to walk down the road with you together and show you what it is that I'm looking at that doesn't look right to me. And with your 40 years experience, if you want to explain to me why I'm wrong, I'd be more than happy to listen. I'm not here for a confrontation with you. I'm not here to argue with you.
Here's the key to what you just said.
Mike, the microphone.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome. Figured you.
Matt, keep me in check tonight.
Figured you
please?
know by now.
So here's the deal with that. You keep an open mind with not the tainted attitude that you came to this podium with. You're the one that came to the podium with a tainted attitude. Let's not debate it. Let's not debate it. We can play the tape back if you want.
Sure.
Okay. If you want to do that, I'll take that walk with you.
Excellent.
With you.
Excellent.
We're not having some big grand
No,
idea. Then we can do that. I'll do that for you.
When? What day? What time? Let me know. I'm free all week.
I don't know.
I'm free
Give
all
the
week.
board, give the
Yeah, we'll-
administrator your information and we'll.
Any day, anytime you want. I'm free all week.
We'll help coordinate that. Anthony, this, do you have anything else? Because it sounds like this is to be continued pending a walk. Do you have anything else?
Well, let's conclude it somehow.
I'd like to,
These
but,
things that float around forever.
yeah. Anthony, if you have anything, this is your chance.
Yeah, I'd like to join the walk. Since the road agent's going to be out there, I think all the residents that are here that have concerns should be able to walk with the road agent and use his expertise to point out what we're concerned about and get his expert opinion.
Yeah, I would just, well, hold on. I would just echo, I know what Mike's talking about is we don't want a parade, right?
Yeah, I use the
But
word
if
dog
you,
and pony show.
exactly, but what I think is valid is if you live in the neighborhood and you have a concern and you want to come out of your house and meet,
I'm not doing that. I'm telling you directly as the road agent, I'm not doing that.
okay.
I'm not having some gaggle of people walk around and feel the need to beat me up as the road agent in town, because that's why we're here.
So that's not aggressive at all, right? So you're refusing to do your job as the
You wanna
road
go?
agent.
You wanna go for the walk?
And you guys are going to let this fly,
You
right?
can go for the walk.
I'm sorry.
He's not going for the
I'm
walk.
sorry, Mike, one conversation?
For professional.
One conversation?
Don't,
Hey, okay.
We're gonna go with time out. Mike, okay, before you go to the podium, time out. One conversation. Go ahead.
This is a separate issue that I want to address right now and conclude it. Because I've seen it on social media, I've seen it text to me, I've heard it, the diarrhea that comes out of the mouths. Where did you guys try to contact me? I don't, no, sorry about that. I'm looking out here. Anybody here that's tried to contact me, I want the proof and when you did it. Because I don't have any. Go ahead. Tell me when you did it.
Over the past several years that I've lived here, I've called the road agent, left voicemails, I've contacted and not received a response other than one time when I first moved to town about 6 years ago. I've actually been down the office, downstairs, and spoken to Diane about, I need to contact the road agent, and I'm not getting responses. I don't have the exact dates or times, I don't keep my call logs from the past 6 years. So I won't be able to provide that. I've sent several emails voicing concern. I'll print them out. I'll also print out all the pictures. And I'm, again, happy to take the walk that he's now refusing to do.
I don't need you on the walk, Anthony.
Of course not. You don't need anything, right?
Not from you.
Yeah. Super professional,
Charlie, go ahead.
Okay.
Charlie's got his hand up.
Mike, I haven't gone down and viewed the road. My question to you is, if there is cracks, not saying there is, because I haven't viewed it, can you seal them?
No. Well, could you seal them? Yeah.
So
But
that
there'll be a bigger reason. If there's cracking on that road right now, there's a bigger reason than just going and crack sealing it. The thing's only a month old.
Right, but if you did seal them, Mike, no water would get in there and freeze the road.
Correct. That's another method of maintaining, that's called pavement preservation. There's an entire science to that, right? Yeah. No. Let's take this step one step at a time. Evaluate the road, see what the road looks like, and then we'll go from there.
That's fine with me.
Okay?
I'll go by.
Okay.
Yep, let's leave it there.
So before I leave the podium,
We were so close.
you were close. We were close, but we're not that close.
Okay.
Because this is going to be the one time I'm going to get to address this, and I'm doing it. So Mr. Levin, sitting 3 rows back and chair down there, has on social media, on more than one occasion, called me corrupt. Those are the words that we used. He's called me corrupt. I want Mr. Levin to come back to the podium right now and give me the reasons, facts, and allegations that you spew out of your mouth that I'm corrupt. There you go.
And just so you know,
This is part of this meeting
this
now?
is, well, it's technically not on the agenda.
No, let's go for it.
So if we go for it, we're not going to do this all night, so go ahead.
We're not going to what?
We're not going to do this all night, so.
Okay, great.
We'll go for a
So-
little bit. Yeah.
So to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Bavero owns Eastern Seaboard Concrete. Is that correct?
That is a correct
And you
statement.
rent equipment to the town.
That is correct.
So almost $400,000 a year goes to your company.
Nope, stop right there.
It's
Let's
on
stop
the
right there.
it's on the
No,
budget
let's stop
report.
right there. We're going to address these facts as we get through.
Okay, Mike,
Mike,
the microphone. Back to the microphone. Yes.
All right, hey, I'm back, if you can't hear me in TV land. So I want to see where it shows I bill and get compensated $400,000 a year from the town of Newton. You back up, Anthony.
No problem. It's right here. It's the 2022 Newton budget. Has $366,000 to the road department.
That's the highway department.
Highway department, I'm sorry. That's you.
Okay, that's the entire budget for the highway department for the fiscal year.
Okay. It's about $300,000 in rental equipment to your company.
No, that's not correct.
So why do we rent equipment from you? What are the prices? What are the hourly charges? Where's the inventory?
I can go back to the podium.
So he's-
Go ahead.
Speak, but shut up, but don't say.
So here's how it works in the town of Newton. It's worked like this forever, and you probably should have done some homework before you accuse me of being corrupt. The town of Newton, for as long as they've had a highway department, the road agent supplies equipment to the town of Newton. I didn't start it. It's the way it's always been. Should we revisit this at another date in a workshop and retail it at? That's fine. It can be done by the Board of Selectmen. But the rental rates were given to the Board of Selectmen back 14 years ago, 15 years ago, with a hold harmless clause that I gave to the Board of Selectmen. They reviewed it and they signed it, and it's been that way since. If there's been a concern on how I rent equipment to the town of Newton, the selectmen can bring it up and we'll review it in a workshop. But these numbers that fly out, there's no substantiated background for your numbers. And I got to apologize for kicking you off the podium. Come back up, because there must be some other allegation of corrupt.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think
we're,
it's on.
so,
Point of order.
All right, so,
Mike, go ahead.
yeah, so I'm gonna ask that we bring some order to this.
Here's the budget.
I
Do you
know,
guys
can I
have
finish
laptops?
speaking, Anthony?
Yeah, just let him finish.
Okay? We're gonna bring some order to this, because I do not like this behavior
From,
Okay.
from who exactly?
from everyone.
Oh,
I'm not pointing fingers, but there is gonna be some order. And this is not on tonight's agenda. So 2 minutes, and then we gotta wrap it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
You guys have the budget in front of you with the money? If I have concerns, to voice them, but then I'm told to leave.
I gave you 2 minutes. How you choose to do that is up to you. Go.
Okay. I'd like to know when we're doing the walkthrough with the expert over here, the road agent, as a group, with the board preferably there, maybe a police officer, because this is all hostile, aggressive, and very intimidating to everybody. I'm sorry, who are you?
Okay, I asked for
All right,
order.
So listen, here's what we're gonna do, okay? Because we have a long agenda tonight. Laura, could you do me a favor? Thank you.
Sorry, man. I would like to
Okay.
pick that.
All right, so Anthony's sitting down.
Enough,
Enough.
enough.
Calm
Time
down,
out.
Bob.
So we do have,
The
I
chairman.
really hate to say this, but we do have police officers here who will ask people to leave if they can't abide by some sort of order, okay? So I would like to answer Anthony's question in that I would like to put the town administrator on the spot and let's coordinate with everybody a date for this walkthrough, okay? I don't think we need the whole board there. We can certainly do it if the board, everybody wants to go there, but we'll work it out with all the necessary parties. We'll reach out, see what the residents' availability is, see what the board's availability is, and we'll figure something out. We won't kick the can up the road too far, no pun intended. Let's get this done in the next, at least in the next week, I would say. So with that, I'd like to turn to item B, hopefully, which will be less controversial. We'll see what happens. So, I know. I think, yeah, we're on C. Sorry about that. I was just trying to push us further down the. All right, so basically, this is an update as to, we've talked about it in the meetings before. We put out for sealed bids for a piece of property that the town owns. The town basically had gotten this, it was before my time, but we got it via tax deeding, I believe. This piece of property. We've had asked for sealed bids. We got one bid.
Yes, you got one bid.
Yes. We have one bid from Ryan Norman, who has been here to talk to us before. His bid, we took that as a board and we decided to share that with our town council, just to make sure we followed everything to the letter in terms of the advertised bidding process. And as many people know, they were here for the meetings. He's offering to do some cutouts in such a way with working with conservation to make sure the plan is favorable to the area. So what I'd like to do is poll the board right now, and eventually we'll get a motion out of this, not to, decide and close this out tonight, but to move forward by executing all the documents we need to execute and also get any sort of engineering done. But is the board has seen the offer, has seen the opinion from legal counsel. Polling the board, do we want to move forward with this offer at this point? Mike?
I'd like to move forward.
Bob?
Same.
Charlie?
Yep.
Okay, and I'm the same. So we do have a proposed motion, I think, that will cover us. And again, it's like buying or selling a house, right? There's a initial step and now the next step before we finalize. So, Bob,
So I'm
did
going to
you-
make a motion that we move to accept the terms of the bid offered by Mr. Ryan Norman for town-owned property referenced as tax map 12-1-1, and to authorize the chairman to sign the purchase and sales agreement upon the recommendation from town council. All costs associated with this transaction will be paid by Mr. Ryan Norman.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? I know Mr. Norman's here.
Is he? Yep. I didn't see him. Oh, there he is.
He's
Sorry.
right there. Want to go first?
Oh,
Sorry,
I do
somebody's
have a
on.
question.
Why don't we go with Lisa first, and then we'll go with the Zoom person.
I'm sorry, since this is town-owned land, I think the town people have a right to know what the Board of Selectmen is saying they are agreeing to purchase, to sell this property for, what the amount is and what the terms are,
Sure. Do we have-
before
Yeah, sure.
they do this.
Diane, do you happen to have the bid we could just read? Just read the actual language of the bid.
If you give me a minute, I can find it.
Yeah, so Ryan, if you want to, I'm
What do you
sorry.
want, Diane?
Yeah, why don't we do was it Diane's
I don't remember
iPad?
who, but somebody.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay, yeah.
this is Diane Hare. I'm one of the abutters. I was there at the last meeting. I was
Yes, yep.
unable to be there tonight.
Yep.
But I also would like to hear what that bid is.
Sure, yeah, makes sense.
I don't know why I feel like it's being very secretive, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, it's not meant to be, but, so I think it's a good idea. So we'll read it as soon as we pull it up. Ryan, did you want to mention anything?
I'm sure the bid will be read, but all of the terms that we discussed over the past several meetings, those were included in the bid. Diane and Lisa, I could paraphrase it, but you're going to read it word for word.
If you want to
right?
paraphrase, go ahead.
So basically,
Or do you have it?
Got it?
you have it? Okay.
Do you mind reading it, Diane?
I'll read it and I'll even share it.
Yep.
Where everybody going?
Okay. So basically, it says the buyer agrees to convert approximately 10 acres of buyer-owned land on tax map 12, lot 4, into conservation land, along with the rear portion of town-owned land, map 12, lot 1, as shown in Exhibit A, as part of the subdivision plan. Buyer agrees to create an access easement for the section of walking trail that is located on the portion of the buyer's parcel where this trail is not located inside the new 10-acre conservation area. Buyer agrees not to include the land area of map 12, lot 1 in zoning calculations for housing density as part of any subdivision plan of map 12, lot 4. In the event of multiple offers, buyer will increase the bid to $1,000 more than any competing bid if the Board of Selectmen deem the above terms not sufficient to win the bid. So this is Exhibit A, which is, let me see if I can rotate it for you. Okay, so this is where the easement would be, in here, and this would be all proposed conservation land. This is what he will gain, this area, but we will gain this area. Did I get it right?
Yes, and that
I'm
Lower
sorry,
the mic.
microphone.
and the blue line, Diane, that's my interpretation of where the trail should be. That would still.
This line here?
Right.
Okay.
The surveyor, Diane has flagged it, and the surveyor will locate those flags and put it on a survey plan, so it's accurate.
Okay, so that's my question, Ryan. I can't tell by this either, so it will be where that existing trail is now.
Yes, exactly where that trail is, where it's flagged, that'll be written up as an easement.
Okay, all right, that's my, my question, because I can't tell by the map.
Yep.
But no, I appreciate it, and Ryan has been very very cooperative about this whole thing, about supporting that wetlands and protecting it. So I appreciate that.
That's the same area we saw during the walk, correct? So nothing's changing from what we visually saw? Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you. Any other questions, either on the internet or in the room, Lisa?
So it's not really clear to me, A, is there any money exchanging hands? And B, I got the 10 acres, but then I believe the town portion is 5 acres? If we can just specify how much he's gaining, how much the town is gaining, that sort of thing there, as well as any cash that exchange hands.
Yeah. That's on the next portion, right?
So he's offering $5,000.
So the key thing to remember for the town, and somebody jump in here, and Mary Jo's here, jump in if I get this wrong, is because it was taken via tax deeding, we are basically limited to recoup anything we've invested in the land. Anything above that, we would have to give back to the original owner of the land who didn't pay their taxes all those years ago, if we could find the owner, right? So, the kind of idea that, what it comes down to is we're a municipality, we're a not-for-profit municipality, right? So we can't really put up some big number or ask for some big number. I think I got all of that right, so.
So that was cash. What about the acreage?
I can probably talk to that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Tricia McCarthy, Conservation. So on the map that Diane had up there, the 10 acres with the green lines running across it, Conservation is gaining. And the swap is the top little portion where it says Town of Newton. See the green line in so we're gaining 10 acres, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, plus about a third of one of his acres on that Town of Newton. So he's ending up with about 4.7, something like that, acres out of that original 5 acres that the town owned. So Conservation had asked for some of that highland to be added to the 10 acres, which was wetlands, the Atlantic White Cedar Swamp that we're trying to protect. So that little portion in the Town of Newton land on the far left, we're gaining out of the 5 acres that he could have received, and instead he'll end up with 4.7. Does that explain it, Lisa? Yes. Okay.
And thank you, Tricia. And
Matt,
and go ahead, Charlie.
I'd like to include that he also said that he would not use that land for uplands for his project. And he's going to do selective cutting. He's not just going to go in there and clear cut it. He's going to do selective cutting. That's in part of the agreement.
Okay.
I wanted to mention.
That's correct, Ryan, right?
Yep.
Not to put words in the mouth. The other thing I didn't mention with the tax deeding land is this will return this piece of land to the tax roll, so the town would start getting tax money, which is our only source of revenue. We haven't had that on this land.
Which will get more money out of that land than we do the wetlands.
Right. Correct. That's a good point, too. Yeah. The usefulness of the land, yeah. All right. Any other questions? So we have a motion on the floor. We had a second.
So do you need to add all of Charlie's things into your motion?
I don't believe so, only because the
was in the
motion
agreement.
is to get the attorneys
Yeah,
to draw it up.
Wasn't in the agreement?
Yeah,
It was in the agreement we're looking at, yeah.
Right.
So that.
So whatever the purchase and sales says
Exactly,
is law.
yeah. yeah,
Okay, so that should be in the purchase and sales
That
agreement.
should be in the purchase and sales.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, anything else on this one? All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, no further discussion. All in favor?
aye.
So that's unanimous. Okay. All right, thank you on that one. So switching gears, back to the agenda. I just lost the agenda. It's over here. All right, so now, back to the road agent again. So So the road agent has asked to speak. I believe it's in response to, we had a discussion 2 weeks ago in a meeting about a potential for a vehicle for the highway department, and you weren't here. So I guess you wanted to kind of respond to that.
I do, thank you. As I stand here at the podium, I haven't seen any paperwork, documentation, what the truck is, how it's spec'd out. I know nothing about it other than third-party conversations about this truck. I am all for buying a truck. I've said it for many years to different selectmen. I think you need to start buying equipment, but you've got to do it in a structured fashion with a plan. These are growing pains, right? I know there's a lot of people think I'm making a fortune renting equipment to the town of Newton. Yeah, not true. So what we need to do is sit down and systematically figure out how we're going to do this. While I was on vacation, coincidental or not, a truck was proposed by a selectman. The truck is spec'd out under the fire department. That's where the quote came from. I'm pretty sure if the fire department and the police chiefs in the back corner behind me, if the fire department spec'd out a police car or the police spec'd out a fire truck, I don't think the department heads would be happy. So since I'm standing here as the highway department and want to know why I was not included in any type of conversation, email, or anything regarding a highway truck. Can anybody share just that start?
I think you're probably referencing
You're talking
Cheryl.
about me.
Yeah.
And yes, I did have the fire chief spec that truck out for me, and I told him what I would like to see. And Mr. Jewett told us in the ARPA meeting this morning that he could do the same thing for us. And so, to be honest with you, Mike, what I did is I turned around and I got the...
Hold on, before you go too long-winded, because you didn't answer my question.
I thought
Why
I did.
was the highway department head not included in the specking out of a highway truck?
This is something that I've been dealing with since 2012, and when I brought it
Then
to
we've
the
had
Board of
plenty of
Selectmen.
time to have the conversation.
Probably have.
And we've
have.
never had it.
You and I don't see eye to eye,
Oh, okay. We'll move along from
correct?
that.
Are we correct?
Oh, no, you're 100% correct. But that doesn't mean I won't work with somebody on a professional level if you've got something you want to propose. I feel like this was backdoored.
Mike, I apologize by saying it last week. I did not know that you was on vacation, or I wouldn't have done it if I had known you was on vacation.
Okay, but let me go
That's
one
a
step
fact.
farther. Did any of the Board of Selectmen know that this was coming in front of them?
Yes, Matt does, he does, and he does, because it was all mentioned at the last meeting. And I don't know why he didn't tell you.
I'm
What do you?
getting a certain look
was
out
at
of the
the
Board of
last meeting.
Selectmen.
I
just
knew,
got
I
pulled
knew
into-
about
hold-
this like a day or two before the meeting, Joe.
Yeah, but it
So
was
wait-
at the
wait a
last
minute.
I'll go
meeting.
on the record, I
let's-
found out that night.
Yeah,
so
let's-
I
Right,
didn't
it
know.
was brought up that
Wait.
night.
Listen, I'm only
John,
bringing
hold-
I'm only
hold-
bringing this up for one
Time
painful
out,
reason.
Mike,
I'm
Mike.
sorry, Matt.
Time out,
Okay.
okay? What meeting are you referring
The
to?
last selectmen's meeting.
Okay, all right, okay. That's when we all found out.
McCarthy turned around and gave us,
Exactly, yep.
Appeal.
No, absolutely.
That's when I brought it up.
We have the video
and if I
proof.
had known that he wasn't here, I wouldn't have done it.
Okay,
But I wasn't told that he went on vacation.
yeah, in that meeting, we all found out. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
But am I wrong to assume we should have this presented to us prior to 10 minutes before Selectmen's meeting? I think I am. I think I'm right on that. So I am all for the town buying some equipment. I caution you, do all the homework, do the math, do the numbers.
Right here.
You have numbers?
Yeah.
Can we share a few so we're
Sure
not too
can.
long-winded?
Matt asked me to get numbers. He says he didn't want to do
Love
anything
this.
with the numbers.
Okay.
And just to Mike's benefit, in the CIP that was already proposed and put in place well before all of this happened. Michael sat with me downstairs in Diane's office, and we talked about 4, 5 trucks that you proposed that the town should be looking at to invest in, because he's not gonna be able to be the road agent, and the next road agent might not have the equipment that we need. So he already did state that, he put it in place, and it is on paper and was posted on the CIP. And thus, that is the importance of why we're trying to get the capital improvement plan together, so that we can budget, like Mike said, all these things and try to put them in sequence of importance for the town.
Charlie?
Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, just so that you know, that I was under the impression, and I don't know for sure yet, Tricia's got to answer, that we could take this money to buy this truck out of the ARPA funds. And if we could, that would be buying the truck for free.
Well, we got to stop you right there. I hate when that word's said. There's no free, Charlie. There's no free. Here's why. And it's done not just here, it's done in other towns and
It's
other
done all
communities.
over the country. I understand that completely,
But we
Mike.
as taxpayers, have already paid into the federal government, FEMA, some
But this
agency.
is money coming to us.
Okay, we can take advantage of it.
Well, that's
Stop
what I was
using
trying to
free.
do.
It's not free.
Okay, I won't use
Nothing's
free. Nothing's, I understand
get
that
it, we
nothing's
get
free.
it, we get it.
But that's a minute point. But what I did is I turned around, Matt asked me to get the numbers, so what I did is I turned around and I went for the $50 an hour that we pay for the truck, to you, right? I added up all the dates. Here they are, Matt. You can have them. Take a look at them.
I'm gonna ask a silly question. We don't have a spreadsheet, do we?
No.
Okay, all right.
Spreadsheet is,
That was-
there's
that
quite a
was
few
silly.
pages. There's 24
Had
pages.
to ask.
Yeah.
So what I did is I turned around and I took the highway foreman's hours, which he worked 1,843 hours, and 123 of them were overtime hours. So at $50 per hour, it comes up to, and this is nothing against you, Mike. This is about purchasing a truck.
This is
And
numbers.
I want you to know that if Frankie Gibbs was standing right there, I'd be doing the same damn thing. I would.
Okay,
I already told him that.
okay.
So at $50 an hour, it comes out to $92,150 rental for this truck. 437 hours of this time, the town paid $66.55 an hour, up to $250 an hour for larger equipment. I don't have a problem with that, because that's a backhoe, that's a loader, that's a large dump truck, that's a grader, that other stuff. I don't have a problem with that. I just feel that if we're paying for the highway foreman to go out there every day, and we're renting a truck at $50 an hour, it's a foolish move. We should be turning around and buying a truck. And we have 3 options. Trish can probably answer 2 of them for me. 1 is we use the ARPA funding. 2, we use the $91,000 that we just took in from the block grant money, because Kathleen from New Hampshire Municipal Association, and you were on the call, said that we could buy equipment. And the third would be is to do a warrant article for the next 5 years. That's all I'm saying.
Because you mentioned, and I can't see her,
That's
but
our
is
job.
Trish is still there, right? We asked the question the last time, but for everybody's edification, in terms of this ARPA funds, does it cover highway stuff?
We did talk about it also at our ARPA meeting, so I have reached out to the Governor's Office of Relief and Recovery. I've reached out to the U.S. Treasury and Catherine Heck at NHMA. Catherine Heck did call me back last night. We missed each other. We played telephone tag. She wasn't available till later on this afternoon. I called her again, so I have not got an answer. I don't know if this money can be used for a highway truck. I know it could be used for police, fire, emergency management, but I'm not sure about highway. So before I signed my name to anything. We're just waiting to get some kind of clarification, so I don't have that
Okay,
yet.
that's fair. Mike, did you want to respond to
Yeah,
that?
that one's mine. That one's mine.
Did you,
So we'll have to do this in another meeting, workshop, selectmen, numbers, crunch, the whole thing. Because where Charlie's getting them numbers, I have no idea, Charlie. I have no idea. No, listen, you're gonna pick up reports. Some of it you don't know what's allocated to. I can tell you this. I run a company. I've run a company for 39, almost 40 years.
Run one for 56.
Every one of my pieces of equipment have a job costing code to it. The truck that's here in town that Ronnie uses, the pickup truck, the one, and it's not a pickup truck, it's a 1-ton.
Yep.
I asked the girl in my office Saturday, because I knew I was coming to this meeting. I says, the 200 truck, can you pull up what we've billed the town of Newton for the 200 truck last year? She goes, yep. 714 hours at $50 an hour is $35,000. That's what the town paid for that specific truck. There's other 350s that are in there. Some of them are winter maintenance, where you just said 60-something dollars an hour. That's winter maintenance. The guy sitting in the back row with the yellow shirt on, he drives a Sterling. So that's a completely different animal.
I'm agreeing with you, Mike.
Okay,
I'm
but
agreeing with
I don't
you.
know where you get that number that you throw around. You've also told in the ARPA meeting that the town pays for the fuel.
No, I did not. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. I'm telling you right now, that's
You got it
incorrect.
from two very competent people that understand the English language, and you said the town pays for the fuel. So
I
we're
did
going to
not.
clarify that right now. Right now. The town does not fuel my equipment. They don't maintain it. They don't insure it. They do nothing. That all falls on me.
Correct.
I'm going to give the town one number. And Matt, you and I at a later date with other selectmen, I'll show you the numbers and what it costs. Because you're going to want to know them as you morph or grow or go into a highway department, what those numbers are. Last year, the town of Newton, I paid $31,960 in diesel fuel. Comes out of my pocket.
Well, it
Comes
should.
out of my complete operating number. So don't mislead people with wrong information. Let's use the right information, let's move forward, and I'll give the selectmen all the information you guys want to make an educated decision on how to do this. Again, I do believe the town should buy a truck and probably buy a backhoe. My suggestion for years were, start a capital reserve fund, put money in it every year, 25, 35, 40, I don't know what the number is. Accumulate some money and go buy equipment. That's what you should do. If you want to take it out of the ARPA fund, you've got an ARPA committee. If that's where they think this money should be allocated, fine. I'm going to tell you right now, do not take it from the highway block grant money. That's money I use
Mike,
to improve the road system.
This is an additional 91,000 that we got this year.
That's correct. The
extra.
entire state got it.
I just said that we could. I didn't say we're going to. I said we could take it from there.
Okay, and you
Kathleen
did.
said
You said
that.
I could. I'm telling you that would be a grave error. That'll be less roads that I can improve next year. I just told you, it's $1.7 million in
Mike,
deficit
we're
right now.
not trying to take, I'm not trying to take this money from your budget. I just want to have your budget increase. I've already told you that. I told you to increase your budget last year, and you didn't do it.
So,
I did.
Because we
No, I
need money
increased
to
it last
turn
year.
around
Small,
and do
but I
these
did.
roads. The
So-
roads are getting poor.
so it sounds like you're kind of wrapping up there, and I know where you're going with this. And I mean, I think, I think the expectation with the voters is that we collaborate on these things. And I think
Which you should.
if I was watching this meeting right now, not living this meeting, if I was watching this meeting right now, I'd be like, aren't they collaborating on this stuff? Like, aren't they working together?
Well, they should be.
Exactly. And so I heard from all ends, I heard a lot of things that are good, right? Sounds like Charlie has the start on some numbers. You obviously have the numbers on your side. We need to not have numbers that are, you know, on the back of the envelope type math, right? You've got to start there. We need to crunch them. You talked about a workshop. We need to figure out exactly what we want to do, because I think most people looking at the warrant, if we're telling them in a warrant, this is what the world looks like with us renting the truck. This is what the world would look like if we didn't have to do that anymore. And we told them we're going to take some money and put it in a capital reserve fund. That would probably be successful if we made the case. What we have right now does not make the case. I think we can get it if we work together, but we just don't have that right now. So I don't want to see us do anything. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're fully right either. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just, we need to, like you said, a workshop, whatever it takes. This is like par baked or whatever. We need to fully bake this cake, right? So all the ingredients, right? I'll stick with the cake metaphor.
So I'm not going to be as political. I just can't after this. This meeting, this sucked, this process. And we need to have a process. And that process is that we as selectmen get town heads involved, we get the town administrator involved, and we deal with the facts. Not back of the napkin, not numbers we think, and it gets vetted out. And it gets vetted out in somebody's office before we start making proposals to do stuff. If this was done at a public boardroom meeting and people sat in front of the board, they would be fired tonight.
You'd at least get kicked out of the room. And
You would.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to see this happen again. I want to see communication. So goes the leaders, selectmen, so go the troops. If you're going to bring stuff up, you're going to bring it up to his face. If I'm going to bring stuff up that I think Mark needs to do, I'm going to do it to his face, but we're going to do it ahead of time. We're going to get our ducks in a row and our facts, and then we're going to present it. And if we do that, that way there's collaboration and there's a business plan. Matt said this the last time. We need to have business plans. We need to have how we're going to go forward. Running around in silos, we have to end it. And I'm going to leave it there.
Well, listen, amen to that. To run a town, you should be running a town like a business. No different. It should be run just like a business. And to do things with not substantial backup and throw numbers out there that aren't substantially backed up, Charlie, don't pick up the paper.
I got them.
You don't.
Yeah,
you think
I do.
you do, but you don't.
I got them
And
from the bookkeeper.
We'll review that with other people, because numbers don't
Not a
lie,
problem.
Charlie.
Numbers don't lie.
But it needs to be done accurately, because if you throw stuff out there, you've already spoiled the deal. It's got to be done accurately, with real numbers.
Charlie,
real numbers.
There's a resident there, but did you have another thought on this before we?
I just wanted to let you people know that I have the numbers. You asked for the numbers.
Right,
I went
right.
to the bookkeeper and
Right,
I asked the bookkeeper for a year's period
Yep.
of Ronnie's hours and then a year's period of his slips. I went through every single one of them and I marked it down per day and how many hours the pickup truck was used.
But Mike
I have all there.
Mike just said that he's not in that same truck the entire time
And I
that he's
didn't
working
do
all
that.
those days.
I didn't do that. I did it on the 350, F-350. Not the F-350 with the plow on the front, not the F-350 with the sander in the back. I did it with the other truck.
So let me ask you a question, and I'm not coming back up to this podium tonight. How many hours do you show Ronnie in that truck?
I show Ronnie in that truck 1,000,
You said like 1,800, right?
1,843.
Okay, this is the only thing I'm going to
With
bring. The
overtime.
only thing I'm going to bring up. An average working person is 2,800 hours a year.
Right,
2080 rule.
Okay.
2,000.
2080, not
Is that not what I just said?
2,800.
Thank you for clarifying that.
But he has 3
So a
weeks
little over
vacation.
2,000 hours.
He has 3 weeks vacation.
So that's the only truck he was in all last year.
No,
It mathematically worked out to that, Charlie.
no. I
Excuse
did
me?
not
So-
take the
so,
big trucks.
Tell you what, we're gonna leave it there
right.
because we can agree to disagree. We get a resident last thought on this and somebody online. So we'll go
Somebody
to
online.
somebody online as well. Go ahead, sir.
I feel like there's probably a real simple, easy solution to this. If there's such a discrepancy between the numbers, why not just have an outside independent audit?
We do every year, actually. Yeah.
It's done.
on this subject alone, if there's
Well,
such a
let's first,
numbers, instead of fighting back and forth.
let's just first get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, we're on different sheets of music is how I would put it. So, Diane, somebody's on Zoom?
Yeah. Please state your name.
Dan Guide, 15 Bartlett Street. If there's going to be a truck specced out, can we please make sure that it's the highway department speccing out the truck and not a selectman?
Yeah, I hope everybody agrees with that one. All right, can we move on?
Please.
Yes.
Lisa, are you literally eating popcorn over there? Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're moving on to E, which is, God bless you, Trish, ARPA, EOC update. We have a number of requisitions coming out of the ARPA committee.
So I'll let you, as we go down the requisitions, I can explain them a little bit. However, oops, wait a minute.
Trish, move the microphone down, please.
Okay.
Hang on.
And Neil, I will say this, there are people leaving, just make sure if you're gonna have a conversation, you do it in the hall or outside. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll do my report first, and then we can go down if you want to talk about the requisitions that you have been given. So the ARPA committee met on Monday morning. The camera security update, you should know that we went to a company down in Chelmsford to view their security system. We have another one scheduled for this Friday. Once we compile all the information between the two of them, we'll give you a spreadsheet or a recommendation for whatever we think if you decide to go forward with security cameras. It is covered with the ARPA money. It's going to be expensive, so it's something I guess we have to decide, do we really want them for all the buildings? As I think one of the estimates is a total of $97,000. That's a lot of money. Yeah, really. So we'll present it building at a time because U.S. Selectmen may want to adjust it and tweak it. Maybe you don't want all the buildings with all the cameras and the bells and whistles. So we'll give you that at the meeting on the 18th. You have a filter in front of you. You have a requisition to do with the filters, and they're not air purifiers. They actually are for viruses. They capture and destroy viruses. So we'll talk about that when we get down to that particular requisition. It's for 10 units for the town hall and the library so far. The UV systems turned out to be expensive for buildings that are old like this, but we may be able to use them for the police department and the fire department. So I'll give you that report when we get it. The recreation department, ARPA, we want to use the funds for Granny Park. 20 feet of trees want to be taken down, and we want to expand that parking lot. That's on our agenda every meeting. We haven't got to it yet. We haven't spent any, we still have money set aside for this. We haven't spent any money for that. The solar company, it's been like pulling teeth. We are meeting with them on the third week in October. They finally have figures for us, but you remember last meeting, I said that they did notice the library, the usage was really high, considering the amount of hours that they were open versus the amount of hours the town hall was open. So after doing a little digging, and Mark is aware of this as well, come to find out, they discovered that they had a faulty dehumidifier on that ran all the time and never went off. Last winter, again, the electricity was high because they were worried about the virus, so they kept the windows open all winter. So that attributed to fuel usage as well as electricity usage. And they found an old dormitory-sized refrigerator that was quite old, that was not working correctly, so they got rid of that. Our maintenance guy has installed the new dehumidifier, so hopefully we're going to see these figures go down. But I have to say, we probably wouldn't have noticed any of this if the solar company hadn't said, hey, your usage is high. So even though it wasn't what we planned, we actually learned something that helped us. So we'll keep you posted once we meet with the solar company. And again, I'm waiting again. I should say the ARPA funds the people that we have to talk to, they don't talk. Everything's an email. God forbid they give you a phone number, okay? And then you have to wait. So the U.S. Treasury, NHMA, and Catherine Heck. Catherine Heck is the only human I can actually talk to. I still am waiting for confirmation that we actually can spend, and I don't know what it's going to be, this much money on solar panels. We're hoping, because it's for government services, that it would be allowed. When we filled out the paperwork for this grant last year, Larry and I did it, and we had to pick whether we're going to do a broken down lost revenue attack, if you will, or category, or just, it's called a 6.1 government services. So we picked a 6.1 because it was a little broader. It allowed us to use funds for more items. So again, I'm waiting for clarification on that. The other thing that you have in front of you is the EOC. One of the only ways we get any money is, not that it's about getting the money, but we do need to fund our department. And as long as we're in an emergency, which we are, the state is not an emergency, but the feds say we're in an emergency, we will get reimbursed for our mobile message sign, as you know. We'll come to find out it wasn't working correctly. Thanks to the police department and the fire department, they helped me out. We realized our batteries were burning up. They had no fluid in them. It was actually kind of dangerous. So one of the invoices or requisitions you have in front of me is for new batteries. East Kingston helped us. We got 4 new batteries. So that requisition, I forget what it was, $842, I think, it was actually a necessary thing for you to look at. And last, the EOC update, we had last Wednesday, we had our quarterly meeting for the Seabrook Station, and we've been waiting for 3 months now to get our review. I'm losing my voice. My husband says I'll be perfect. For our review on our March drill, and they said we did A+. It was amazing. They had no issues with us. So we did have a meeting on Wednesday night in Kensington, and in addition to that, they gave us our new Seabrook budget, which I gave to Kim on Monday. So we'll let you know what that is, and drills will start again in training in January. The other EOC is COVID. It's still here. I tell you that every week. We have 9 new cases in the last 14 days. That's in addition to the 7 we had before that. So it is creeping up there because, I don't know, I guess you can live with someone that has COVID and still go to work. Go figure. I don't know. That's the government for you. I think that's all for my report. Oh, let me tell you, for ARPA, and the committee, I've done a spreadsheet for the committee. Just so that you know, so far, since we got our funds, we didn't get them till August. And when we started getting, spending money and you approving it, so far, we've spent $103,537.41 on vendors. Now, this includes vaccine clinics. This includes sanitizing after elections, or last December we had an issue, we had to close town hall for 2 weeks. So it's all vendor totals. In addition to that, we spend $83,454 on stipends, which is police, fire, transfer station, election workers, with the exception of this last election. That hasn't gone through your table yet, but it will. Payroll since last August has been $29,050.29. That includes anyone that worked under ARPA, so that was Larry and me. There have been times where other people have been involved. Some of the ARPA committee, when they go out and they're doing some work, they're paid their hourly pay. So that's the 2022 payroll, and the 2021 payroll was $4,579.69. So far, we've spent $220,000, don't I wish it was only that, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
$220,621.40 out of our $515,400. We've got other, we're calling it like our potential vendors or our wish list, which, like the solar panels maybe, not including the body cameras. We got a separate grant we're working on, the police are working on, Granny Park repairs. So we've got another batch of things that we would like to do. We can't confirm it. Like the website, we want public relations, I shouldn't call it public relations, but website, community information. That's somebody that's going to come in front of you, I want to say the 18th. I'm trying to think I didn't bring all the things with me. If we total up our wish list and what we've actually spent, it's $426,045.06. That's if we did the wish list. That wish list is a moving target. Depending on what you decide to do with what we bring forward is going to dictate how much of that is going to be spent. So I just wanted to give you numbers. And if you want the spreadsheet, I'll be happy to send it to Diane so you can actually look at the spreadsheet as well. I'd be happy to do that. Okay, I will do that.
Trish, before you leave the table,
Yes.
is that $840 on them batteries? Is that including the core charge?
No, we'll get paid back for that core charge when we return them. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
So technically, we're not paying $840.
Correct.
We're probably getting, what, 20, 25 bucks a piece back?
I think that's what he said, 25 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I forgot about that. Yes.
So you'd be issuing a check for $840 when you should be issuing a check for $740, possibly.
But they don't give us the credit until we bring back the ones
Right.
we take out of the message sign, right?
Yeah, but when you bring them back, you turn around, you get the credit.
Okay.
But you want to just pay the $740, you bring the check for the $740.
I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. I think that's it.
So the inevitable one that jumps out is the Motorola quote for $26,240.28. This is for the public system communications.
Yes.
Can we just talk about the need?
Yep.
And
Yep. I'm going to ask Chief Jewett. Oh,
Yep.
Is he here? Okay, good. I'll let Chief Jewett talk about it. You know, I did some injustice to this. I kept calling it an antenna. I think sometimes I called it a repeater. That's not what it really is. It's desk set base stations, MCD network. But I'm going to let the chief explain it because he's much better at it than I.
sure.
Evening, Board. Mike Jewett, Police Chief.
Mike, can you just raise the mic? Thank you. Thank Mike for raising the mic.
Sure.
The mic height.
So in front of you, I hope you have it in front of you. There was a proposal for that two-way communication did for me. What this stems from is we've been in the building for years now. We have what I was under the impression is called a base station radio. Basically, what a base station radio is a radio that is centrally located inside of a building for like a police department, fire department, emergency management, whatever it is. Officers use that radio to answer dispatch, and pretty much if it was car to car, we could talk to the cars, whatever it is. What we actually have, because it's the town of Newton, is we actually have a cruiser radio that was converted to 110. It is not a base station radio. So we kind of made it work, but we call it a base station radio. One of the issues that we have was we bought this cruiser radio or / base station radio a few years back. It is what they call a multi-band radio, meaning I can talk to people in New Hampshire and I can talk to Massachusetts. We border Mass, we border, Merrimack, Amesbury, Haverhill. We border all those towns, but we don't have any communication with them. Evening, Chief. With that being said, we don't really have mutual aid with them, but we still assist them with stuff. And a lot of times we can't, if Merrimack's having something, or Amesbury's having something, we can't hear it. So the radio was purchased as a dual band radio like all the cars have, so we can communicate with Massachusetts if need be. In law enforcement, we should be able to communicate with all of our partners in New England. That's the goal. The base station is dual band. The antenna on the base station that is outside of the building is an analog antenna that has, according to the company that came out, had reached its max life. If you look at the antenna's got a curve to it. So they did some testing on it, and they found out the antenna's not putting out the amount of, we'll call it wattage for better, maybe someone who's listening knows I'm using the wrong term, but it's not putting out enough power. So the signal in our radio transmission is not going out as far as it should. So I looked into this, and the major issue of this, and this may become shocking to people, is I said earlier, and I said a base station, it would be centrally located. Our base station is in the furthest corner of the PD. We have one radio for the entire building. It's not a huge building, but it's big enough. What we did years ago is we put in speakers throughout the building so you can hear the radio. That doesn't mean you can answer it. The portables don't work inside the building. It's a metal building. So you lose a lot of the signal going out. For me, I'm in the opposite corner of where the base station is. So I've got to run down 2 hallways to answer a call if there's a motor vehicle accident, a domestic, or whatever it is. Or I pick up the phone and I let dispatch continually call me until they answer the phone so I can tell them, you know, hey, I heard the call, I'm responding to it. With all of that said, that doesn't work. We've made it work like we make everything else work. It doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So I looked at this, I saw the ARPA funds were there. It was for communication and to increase communication and different things for law enforcement. So I looked at a new base station because we don't actually have a base station. I looked at an antenna because our antenna is at its max life capacity according to the manufacturer. And then I also looked into what's called an MCD network. And what an MCD network is, and I apologize I'm long-winded, but you guys got me on a topic that I kind of care about. The MCD network is basically, it looks like a telephone. And what that does is it plugs into an MCD network, and you can answer the radio in any room in the building where there's a MCD. We'll call it a telephone for layman terms. So what I did is I had them propose, I had them come out and look, and I got a price for 9 MCD 500 desk sets. So that means in 9 locations, now we can answer the radio. On top of that, the way this, so actually let me correct that. I asked for 8 MCD networks. We're getting 9. There's another partner that we have that is going to give us one because they can't communicate with us at all. So they went out and bought one. So we can do it, and that's how I found out we don't really have a base station. So basically what that number is, it seems like it's a high number, but it gives you a new antenna, it gives you a new base station, which we don't have. It gives us the ability to answer in 9 different locations throughout the building, which now we only have 1. It just increases our communication, and the communication is what we do. We do it through dispatch, emergency dispatch. They give us a call. It's going to make that smoother, faster, and it also is going to transition these these telephones that I'm talking about in layman terms, the MCD 5000. If for some reason we needed to come out of that building and go into another building, if we had a network that would support it, I could bring one here and leave one here so I can answer the radio when I'm in here, as long as I can plug into our network. That's what the ability would be eventually. I'm not saying I'm going to be carrying one around with me, but right now we have 1 location in the building. The far end, it's in the patrol room. It doesn't belong in the patrol room. It belongs in a network closet, and there needs to be a way to answer it. It is nothing more annoying than hearing dispatch keep calling and calling and calling because you haven't made it down to the radio to answer. You can try in the portable, and I usually try in the portable as I'm running down the hallway to answer. So that is basically that. Does anyone have any questions on that and why we need it?
Any questions? So it sounds like if we didn't get this, and this is one of those things we have an opportunity to get with ARPA money, I mean,
it's going to be something that I'm going to have to piecemeal over the next 5 years to try to get these pieces and keep buying pieces.
Right, and everything's going to fit together cohesively the way that it should.
All right. Any questions specifically for the chief on this one?
Mike, is this the metal building that you're in, is that any effect on your communications?
For the portables, it is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, brick building. The radio transmission, if you can think about a radio transmission, I'm not a radio guy. Radio transmissions start at the bottom like a fishbowl and they go out. If I drive from here to Worcester, I could hear the calls in Newton crystal clear. If I'm on Amesbury Road in Bear Hill, I can't hear what my officers are saying. We have dead spots throughout.
I'm in agreement with you, because I know the fire department's the same thing.
This won't have any effect on the outside stuff. This is just for inside the building to answer dispatch, so you're not running down a hallway to answer a phone. It's kind of silly that we even still do that. But I've learned from the 21 years I've been here, almost 22, that you make do with what you have. Try not to make too many waves. You try not to ask for too much stuff. And then if you can't get it done, you do it yourself. I can't do this myself, so I'm coming and asking. I don't usually come to the board and say, hey, I need to spend, $26,000 on something.
Yeah, I just think it was worthy of an explanation because of the higher ticket item. So a lot of these that Trish has put forward tonight are stuff we've done before, lower ticket items. So.
And if you capital fund thinking down the road, if we had to do something, these are transferable, right? If you go to a new location.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can tell you right now I'm aware of 2 other PDs that are doing the same exact thing with those funds, because they wouldn't be feasible to do. I mean, I could put it on a warrant title, I could come and ask you guys next year to increase my budget, $30,000 to get this done. I'm trying not to do that.
Looks like Trish is walking towards the podium.
Not for anything to do with this.
Okay.
We skipped over E and F. I just wanted to talk about
Okay.
it.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, you want to do it while we're on the subject?
Yeah, I don't know if Trish has anything else to add before we do the recs.
Yes, please. So, not to what the chief was just talking about, but we kind of skipped over E and F, those requisitions. I just want to explain those. ARPA committee talked about it. Evidently, this was as a result of the elections, and the fact that our next election is in November, could be winter, could be cold, and then March could be cold. And they talked about putting I want to say it's the tanker truck, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the tanker, in the Butler Building because it can't freeze. We can't leave it outside, and evidently the way everybody wanted to do elections, one vehicle was going to be booted out. So this was talked about. I wasn't involved at elections, but I guess after elections, it was decided that we need to have a garage door, I'm going to call it a hoist and opener, for the Butler Building. I kept saying for the fire department, it's not the fire department, it's for the Butler Building, so that a truck can go in there during elections if it's cold. It's kind of a life safety issue. We can't have the tanker freezing. You should know that the ARPA committee did talk about this, and initially, right out of the gate, there's quite a few of us in the room that said, shouldn't this be coming out of government buildings and not ARPA money? I'm tossing that out there so that you can decide if you think you want to spend grant money for this, or should it be government buildings. It's about $2,600. You've got it in front of you. So I just wanted you to understand what happened. It was felt that it had to be acted on right away because November's right around the corner, and we need to hire this company to come in and do what has to be done. So I just want you to know that part of it. It could be government buildings unless you think it should be the grant money.
What are people's thoughts on just the bucket?
Well, just to let you know, Matt, when they turn around and they open that door, they open it by hand. It's a 12 by 12 door, and then they have to push it up with a stick.
Yep.
If it slips and misses, it could come back down and hurt the individual. I believe that this should come out of town hall buildings. The installation as well as the mechanical systems. And I know she's got in a requisition. She's got 2 requisitions, one for 13 and one for 12. And I think they both should come from the same spot, which would be town hall buildings. That's my opinion.
Anybody else have any strong opinions on which bucket?
Well, it needs to be done because if I recall correctly, last March election, they actually put a truck in there. We had a call, and when everybody come flying up to go get the equipment, they had an issue trying to get that door open.
Yeah.
To get to the equipment and get it out of there. So it definitely has to be done and addressed.
Yeah, I I don't have any issue with it. I think it has to be done. It's just a matter of yeah.
Yeah, I don't, what did, 25, 2,800?
26, 13, and 12, I think, or 25.
25.
You have it in front of you.
Mr. Chairman, that might-
1,200 for the motor
Okay.
and 1,300 for the labor.
For the electrical.
2,500.
Mark,
2,500.
just on the electrical, for the installation, Mr. Chairman, through you to the board, it's not to exceed 1,300. So
Right.
we think we
Okay.
can get a better price. The committee worked very hard this past Monday
Yes.
to make sure that this happens.
Yes, we were looking at it,
Yeah.
other issues for the price on the
And
installation.
I support this because the same thing as Charlie said and both selectmen have said.
Yeah, I don't see why we can't take it out of the building
Yeah,
fund.
that's fine with me.
Okay. Thank you.
Are we ready to roll on some motions or?
I think we
Well,
are.
before you do that,
No, Diane, we're ready.
It means on my requisition, you have to scratch off coming from ARPA, and
Right, yeah, we
we'll
have
have to
to,
put what
yeah.
line item for Kim.
Go ahead.
so from the August report for town buildings funds is what I'm
Oh, good,
assuming
yeah.
you want to take it, not town hall.
Yeah.
Because town hall doesn't have any money because it doesn't have a budget.
Right.
Broke.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so you're on the right page, so your requisitions that you have there for those two things will not work. So you have to, you'll
Redo
have to
them.
come back on the 18th with requisitions.
Yeah, we can carry it over to the next.
Well, I wouldn't because of the impending election. I personally, I don't feel strongly either way. I just want to get it done tonight.
Yeah.
My thing is, we only recognize this need based on the fact we started using the fire station for elections because of COVID.
I've
So
known
to
it
me,
for a year.
to me, it fits pretty well with the ARPA. Yeah. So I think based on timing, go ahead, Diane.
Because this was, if I had known about this, I could have done something, but because the bids are under under the 1,500,
One separated, yeah.
correct, because they're separated, because they're two different vendors, so they have to be separate.
Yeah,
We could take it out of general government, and you would just make a motion for each one, to pay it, because we don't need a requisition at this point, because it's under the 1,500. So you can just make the motion to pay whatever the two vendors are out of the general government.
See, Diane comes to you with the problem and the solution. So it's
think
always
that'll
good.
work.
Most people just come with a problem. You
Yeah.
come with the solution. So
So you're going
let's,
to authorize the trustees to pay that,
yeah, I think so.
okay? So I
All
think
right,
that'll
do you want to
cover it.
roll on these, Bob? It
So
sounds
those
like,
motions that you have probably won't work.
well, for those two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to do them on the fly.
Yeah.
So why don't you do all the ARPA ones, skip those two, and we
Start
do them
from
at
the
the end,
beginning on
maybe?
that. So I am going to make a motion that we move to sign requisition ARPA 2022-010 in the amount of $7,242 for the purchase of a multi-function plotter, which includes delivery and installation, funds to come from the ARPA funds.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion that we move to sign requisition ARPA 2022-012 and authorize Selectman Melvin to sign the quote from SEC and Associates to design the septic system at the transfer station, the amount of $1,750, funds to come from the ARPA funds.
Second.
Let's give it to Mike. Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that we move to sign requisition ARPA 2022-013 in the amount of $842.64 for the purchase of 4 replacement batteries for the electronic message board, funds to come from the ARPA funds.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I move to sign requisition ARPA 2022-014 in the amount of $890.64 for cleaning the fire station after primary elections, which were held on September 13th, 2022. Funds to come from the ARPA funds.
Second.
Seconded by Mike. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Skip right down to the PD Public Communication System.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we move to sign Requisition ARPA 2022-016 in the amount of $26,240.28.
That's the,
That's the antenna, right?
Oh, that's my bad.
oh, okay.
Change it to 17, sorry.
Oh, 017?
Yeah, sorry.
We'll
That's
forgive
what
you
happens
this.
when you cut and paste too much.
Just this one time.
In the amount of $26,240.28 for the Motorola Public Communication Systems, funds to come from the ARPA funds.
Need a second? Seconded by Mike. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I move to sign Requisition ARPA 2022-019
Should that be 1/8?
in the amount of $10,221.22 for the radio base station network equipment for public communication systems, funds to come from the ARPA funds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just check that, is that supposed to be a -19 or -18?
No, 1/8 is a...
I move to sign Requisition ARPA 2022 this one should be
018.
018
Yeah.
in the amount of
Okay, I see what it is.
$5,390.55 for the air purifiers for the town hall and library, funds to come from the ARPA funds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is that,
We're not going to do the budgets right now, are we?
well, so let me go back to the Butler Building. And Diane, you tell me if these motions don't make sense, okay? So I'm going to move to sign a requisition number to be determined.
Well, you don't,
in
like I
the-
said, we don't even need a requisition because they're underneath the bid. So you just need to
Okay.
authorize
Okay.
authorize
I can
yeah.
do that. So I'd like to authorize the
trustees of the trust fund?
trustees of the trust fund to, what would you say, withdraw?
Well, to issue a check in the amount of $1,300 for electrical work in the Butler Building
For the new commercial garage door opener, period.
Funds to come from the capital reserve town building fund.
Okay. Now, I will make one slight change to my motion that you're making for me. Is the up to, we have put the word up to for the electrical, right?
Yep, electric.
All right,
It's
up
not-
to
okay.
1,300?
Yes.
Yeah, so can somebody second?
Second.
Seconded by Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I'm going to move to allow the trustees of the trust funds to pay the amount of $1,200 for the installation of garage doors, of a garage door opener in the Butler Building for a new commercial garage door. Funds to come from the general government and buildings revolving account.
No. Funds to come from the town buildings capital reserve fund.
Capital Reserve Fund, sorry.
And that's
Anybody-
up to,
That is not an up to, right? That's a flat fee.
Right, that's one.
That's a flat fee. I'll second that.
Seconded by Mike, all in favor?
aye.
Aye. Excellent. So, moving right along. Back to the agenda. So, proposed budgets. Oh, fire.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, could I address the board for a minute?
No.
I think so. Why don't you let us know,
Thank you.
what it's about.
I apologize for not being here. I had my required EMS training. Just real quick. While I was in training, my phone was blowing up. As other department heads do not like when the board talks about the department when they're not present, I also don't like it. Okay, I want to clear it for the record. The fire department did not spec out a vehicle for the town of Newton. Plain and simple. I was asked by Selectman Melvin to contact the county bid Chevrolet dealer that the town has been doing business with for umpteen amount of years. And inquire, key word, inquire, not spec out, if there was a 1-ton dump truck on county bid. I have the email, like everybody else says, they have their records. I have the email that clearly stated that a select board member asked if you have a 1-ton dump truck on county bid.
Yep.
The answer obviously was yes, and they sent that document that I gave Mr. Melvin that the board has. I did not spec out a truck. They did not spec out a truck. That is the truck that you get on Plymouth County bid for a Chevrolet. So for the record, the fire department did not spec out a dump truck for the highway department. The fire department made an inquiry based
By the
on
request of a
a
selectman.
select board member asking to contact the dealer.
Yep.
And the question is simple. Do you have a 1-ton dump on county bid? That's all I did. I'm standing here, and I've said this enough times to the older board members. Do not ask me to contact the garage door opener. Do not ask me to contact nobody else. The only reason that was in the fire department's name is because I'm the one that made the contact. Okay? I've been thrown underneath the bus for everything with this ARPA stuff, from repeaters to the boat to the stipends, now the truck. No more. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
So moving on to the budgets. So we have a lot of people who have been patiently waiting. We appreciate that, to talk to budget. So I'm going to jump around just so we can get some people out of there. Bill Landry, would you like to talk about the cemetery trustees?
Absolutely. Good evening. Bill Landry, Cemetery Trustees. I'm assuming you've all studied the budget for hours.
Tonight.
You've noticed then that the budget for 2023 is the same as the budget for 2022. No increase whatsoever. I do want to remind you that this year's budget, 2022, is $400 less than last year's. We take a look at what we do, and things are getting better all the time, so we were able to reduce it for this year. And that's what it's going to be again for next year. And right now, it looks like we're going to be right on target. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Nope, good job.
All right. And that is a 0% variance. So this is actually the first one we did this year, and we'll do approximately 180,000 of these as we go throughout the coming weeks. So it is worth saying what we typically do in these meetings is we'll ask any questions, we'll accept the proposed to be kind of run up through the whole budget. We're not necessarily accepting this budget tonight, we're accepting the proposal to be viewed alongside the rest of them as we go out through the next few weeks. So that is the type of motion we look to entertain right now.
Okay, and that's... Make a motion to accept the proposed 2023 budget for the cemetery for inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Diane,
Nope,
you
I'm
liked
good.
it?
Yeah, but
Okay,
it
so
sounds
don't
good.
change a thing. Bill, I'm sorry, were you trying to say something before we did it?
No, that's okay. I'm all set.
So I'm sorry, who's second?
Mike did?
Okay.
Or
Charlie did? Okay.
pick one.
No, give it to Mike.
I gave it to Charlie. It's in pen, can't be erased.
Thanks, Bill.
All right.
Thank you, folks.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Bill.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, so I see Trish is still with us, so why don't we let her do conservation?
Conservation voted to keep it just as it is. There is still some invoices coming in, so although you don't see a lot there, we've got some money that we have targeted. We're doing a lot on trails. And the only thing that if you needed, although I shouldn't say this, never mind, this is what we voted on as is. Any questions?
No, once again, we're looking at a zero budget
Zero
variance.
variance, yeah.
For a total budget for those at home, $3,933.
So I'm
Thank
going to
you.
make a motion to accept the proposed 2023 budget for conservation and the inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. While you're still there.
Okay. Emergency management. This is a tough one, as you know. I'm already in a deficit, and I should say to all of you and people in TV land, we are in a federal emergency. The emergency management department does not get paid unless, we don't have a set salary or payroll item. We do have typically in our payroll line $15,000 that covers the EMD and the deputy. Under normal circumstances, that's never a problem. Now, since the pandemic, we have worked overtime. I shouldn't say overtime in hours, but multiple hours, full-time. Larry worked full-time, I worked full-time. Based on our payroll right now, as you can see, I've overexpended, and I've overexpended because there is a federal emergency and I've got to work. In addition to that, and I have some figures here, right now, there's an average amount of hours that is paid out to our EMD. I think it's 22.5 hours a week. What I did was I took that and multiplied it out for the 13 weeks left in the month. And then I took an average of what I work, which is anywhere from, say, 25 to 30 hours, depending. And I averaged that out for 13 weeks to see what I came to. And that brought me to another $14,402.65. If I add that to what I've already spent so far this year, it brought me to $40,789.49. So what I proposed to you is to increase that payroll line to $40,000, which hopefully the pandemic is over soon. And if it is, if you approve this budget as it is, as you know, at the end of the year, that money can go back into the general fund, or you can use it if another department has a shortage. You have the authority to move that around. I don't know how else to do this. I hate to run in a deficit. We're not supposed to, but I have no control over it. I have to work, and I'm working my hours, and we're paying the EMD. If we were both here, we'd both be working about 20, 25 hours a week as we've done in the past during emergencies. So I hope that explains where I came up with these figures. I'll take your input, whatever you think.
Yeah, I think it's a tough call.
It is.
Based on the situation we're in.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things, the people don't have to vote on this tonight, right? Actually, Diane's going to vote on it tonight. Go ahead, Diane.
No, I just had a quick question. If I recall, some of the money that we get from the messaging board or something, the unanticipated funds,
So, thank you. That's a great point. Thank you, Diane. See, we work great together. And I didn't pay her to say that. So, if at the end of this year, we have to write a warrant article, which we thought we had all the correct information in January. We were not told correct information. So the warrant article never got presented this March. The warrant article that we will be writing at the end of this year, all the money that we've been getting for the message board sign, and I'm still writing the grants, or I should call it a reimbursement. You'll see another $42,000 coming across your desk. The idea of that was to put the money into the emergency operating revolving account, I think that's the name of it, operating account, so that and the money can only be spent during an emergency. So ordinarily, if we didn't have an emergency going on, we couldn't pull from that. But during an emergency, it can be used for supplies, payroll, equipment, anything that we might need during an emergency. So when we get that money with that warrant article and request the voters to vote to take it out of the general fund and put it where it should be, I wouldn't be in a deficit. If we had done that in January like we thought we knew what we were doing and we didn't, I wouldn't be in a deficit. So thank you. So that money will help the Emergency Operating Center. That's the only way we can get money, and we're only paid for that sign by the feds during an emergency. So thank you.
Awesome. So, you know, perhaps we have more facts by the time this goes to print, you know?
Okay.
But I don't know, I think we should keep it as the proposed as is right now.
So I'll make a motion, move to accept the proposed 2023 budget for the EMD for the town, for inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Did you want to put the amount in there, Matt?
Normally, we don't, right?
No.
We just, as proposed.
As
You
proposed,
know, the
yeah.
sheet of paper. Excuse me. So who's going to do welfare assistance?
Jim is here for if you want to do the planning board and zoning, but I don't know.
Oh, is he back there?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's, usually he sees us on TV. Jim,
He doesn't have a TV there.
I thought he maybe had it on cable, or Zoom, I should say.
Way down the bottom.
Is he coming?
Thank you.
Well, welfare, if you want to, welfare is level funded, I believe.
Yeah,
So
which
you
which
could do
tab
that
is
one.
it again? It's not a W, right? It's something else?
So if you wanted to do that one while you're waiting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it.
It's in the back.
Oh, now he shows up.
And Jim is here. Jim, take it away. Planning board.
Planning board. Okay, the planning board budget this year is proposed to go up $1,375. This was approved by the board. As you can see, there have been certain fluctuations in areas because of things like advertising. That budget could be decreased. They chose to keep the legal at a reasonable range. Training has gone down a bit, as has travel, because that places like the NHMA now have a lot more courses that are done online versus having to be there in person. And the biggest increase is my anticipated salary. I now have 2 years worth of track record for how many hours it has taken. We're seeing no reduction in the number of applications. And this is just, to a certain extent, reality of what is. I will tell you that both the Planning Board and the ZBA have restructured some of their fee schedule to try to recoup some of the expenses for larger applications that have many abutters, which ends up sucking up a lot of administrative time to prepare all those certified mailings. And starting actually with an application that's coming in before us now, they still have to put in their, for some reason they failed to supply us with a application fee. But when they do, that was brought in after the changes to the fee structure, and they're going to be paying substantially higher than they normally would have.
Any questions on this one?
With the restructuring of the fees, how much, have you forecasted or tried to take a look at what additional monies would be recouped?
Excuse me?
Based on the fees that you restructured, you said you're going to try to recoup some of the cost.
Right.
Any forecast of how much of that money, like how much extra cash coming
On this particular application that's coming in, I believe that the basic fee prior to the restructuring would have been $100. I believe it's now going to cost them around $400.
that would offset some of the increases in your expenses?
Right.
Okay.
So, quite honestly, on the planning board, we've already taken in this year, I believe it's right around $3,200 in application fees that go into the general fund. And that should probably increase by about 25% next year. The way that the new structure is, the first 15, this is terrible because I wrote it. I believe it's the first 10 abutter notices basically are covered by your application fee. Then between 10 and 25, it's a $50 additional charge. And then it's $100 for each 25 abutters after the initial 25. So when you have somebody that comes in with a 150 abutters, which I've done, they're now paying, I believe it works out to about $365 more.
Okay. So you're recouping some of the costs, okay.
So basically, the increase that you're seeing there of 2.8% overall should be most likely covered by
the increase in the fees.
Right.
Yep. Okay. I'm good.
Everybody good? Any questions? Bob, you seem to be the...
I'm going to move to accept the proposed 2023 budget for the planning board for the inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
While you're there, Jim, ZBA?
The next one is the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals. Sorry, Zoning Board of Adjustment. I gotta get Kim to change that. What you're seeing there is approximately a 27% increase. Half of it is salary, and half of it is an increase to the legal line. Simply the fact that the ZBA has been holding out fairly well with their $1,000 a year, and we have certain applicants that are litigious. And right at the moment, we have already gone through 2/3 of the legal budget. They want to make sure that they don't have to come to the Board of Selectmen and go, we're over for the first time in a long time, the ZBA budget, but at the end of the year, will be in the black.
Right.
It has always worked in the red. There were certain things that could not be anticipated in the switchover to try to bring everything. So the ZBA members themselves chose to increase the legal line from 1,000 to 2,000, and the $1,581 increase in staff cost is, once again, I have actual track records of the number of cases that we have been doing so far this year compared to previous years, and just the hours that are involved. And that does not take into account our attempts to try to mitigate the issue of paperwork that needs to be sorted, weeded, however you want to call it. We have retained more than is required by the state for government records retention. And as people have commented about there being space issues in the town, everybody's trying to do their part. This past year, almost nothing has been time-wise available to work on that. I did secure us some new filing cabinets and some at the back of the room, but it takes time to be able to go through documents and get all the records in proper order.
Any questions on, on the ZBA?
Move to accept proposed 2023 budget for the ZBA budget for inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Excellent. Any questions for Jim? I think we can let him go.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, I'm here.
Yeah, while you're here. Thank you. So for the welfare assistance, was it under a tab different than, because it's not under the W, it's under something else, right?
It's, if you click, it's welfare. Oh, general assistant in your book,
That's what
sorry.
it is, yep, yep. So general assistance, as Diane mentioned, it's level funded this year.
Yep, it's level funded.
Yep. Any questions on this one?
Same budget.
Same as last year, yeah.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed budget for the welfare department.
Somebody want a second?
Second.
Are
Seconded
you
by Bob.
proposing to include it maybe into the proposed 2023 town budget?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Just missing a couple of words.
And who second?
Bob.
Bob did.
Bob. Okay, thank you.
All right, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I can do recreation, but of course I forgot my notes.
Oh, Maple? No.
So if you look at this one, the difference is there's an upper to advertising. The commission's gotten some feedback that sometimes people don't know about the event, so there's a proposal to, shortly after the budget is approved, to do a direct mailer, like a postcard to homes, so they know what the date of the big events are. So they put a little money into advertising for that. Special programs, which basically covers everything we do, has a significant upper there, well, $2,000, due to the fact that what we encountered this year is things are costing more, whether it's bouncy houses or face painters or you know, whatever. It's costing more. We anticipate that not to come down. So there is a difference of $2,600 from the previous year to this year. Any questions?
I have a question, and it's not just as much for this budget, but for any budget or any communication to the town. I have to go back on our website, it's been a while. Can people just sign up for these notices?
Do they what?
Can they just sign up for notifications?
You mean for?
For whether it's recreation, anything that
Oh, yeah.
they want?
It's called e-subscribe. You sign up
You're
under
talking
e-subscribe.
about because you go into e-subscribe and you can select what your preferences are. You can get them all, or you can,
So when you do it, you're going to add that, by the way, or some type of line item that says, oh, by the way, you can get these
yeah,
electronically.
exactly. We've kind of been down that road before, but some people, you
Some
know,
of the elderly people don't have computers either.
yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So-
Okay.
But good
I
point.
shouldn't say elderly. Some of the seniors
Yes, right.
don't have.
I'm there. I hear you.
Under
I'm there.
repairs,
Yep.
you got $2,000, and year-to-date expenses, $295.85. Why are we going with 2,000? Why aren't we only going with like 1,000 if you're not using the money?
Because I believe the stuff hasn't hit yet
Oh,
that they used. I could be wrong. I think that's what, again, I forgot my notes, but that's what they,
Mr.
I
Chairman,
don't
you
know.
are absolutely correct.
Okay.
Some of the billing from the last event had not hit the accounts payable process.
okay. Yeah, thank you.
So I'll make a motion that we move to accept the proposed 2023 budget for recreation for the budget inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I think it's last, certainly not least, Cable Committee. Diane, can you speak to
Yep.
that?
So basically, the increase is in salaries. If I hopefully did my math right, and if the board approves the pay increases that where the Cable Committee is recommending, this will cover it. So it's an extra $500. So it goes from $6,200 to $6,700.
This is, fortunately or unfortunately, this is going to be a theme with budgets with salary line items, I think, this year.
Yep.
But well-deserved, but it costs more to retain good people, is what it comes down to.
So I'm going to move to accept the proposed 2023 budget for the Cable Committee, the budget for inclusion in the proposed 2023 town operating budget.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And that concludes the budget items for tonight. So we have item G, review GASB.
So I'm going to move to authorize the chairman to sign the GASB 75 proposal from Jefferson Solutions with an estimated fee of $2,750.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just real quick.
Yeah, just anybody want to say?
Second.
Seconded by Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you. This is a standard report that's key to the town's audit process, and the timing has come up. The last time it was done was in 2020, so it's a 2-year report satisfying the Governmental Auditing Standards Board's requirements for the auditors to complete their work for the town.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions? Other items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Next one is, I believe, the stormwater management.
I'm going to move to accept the 2022 stormwater management plan as written.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Mike.
If I could, just real quick. So obviously, this has been going on for a couple decades now. So this is, the MS4 is really, was born out of the stormwater management process of the Clean Water Act of 1972. So essentially what this does is it lets the Federal Environmental Protection Agency know by report, and it's a fairly long report, 108 pages, that the work that has been done by a number of people, but led by Mike Vignali, am I saying that right?
Yep.
So it's a report that is due, and it's a permit. It includes everything like really like checking a lot of water areas of the town and wetlands, and keeping us in compliance is what it does. So I would urge recommend your approval.
Excellent, thank you. All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving right along under other business. Looks like Joe's got some other business.
Good evening, Joe Simone, and it wouldn't be a BOS meeting without Joe Simone coming up and asking a question too.
People tune in just for your...
Exactly. So I'll bypass the celebrity status. Just a couple questions. Number one, we talked about capital improvement tonight. Can someone tell us what the status is, where it is, what the next step is on it?
Are you talking about the CIP?
CIP.
Thank you.
I think you're our rep, right? You'd have the best information.
Well, I was on the capital improvement plan before I became selectman. I've been working with the committee as it is. So we've gotten the input from the departments. They didn't, all of them, assess where the funds were going to come from to pay for some of them. But I've talked with Mark, the town administrator. He's creating a spreadsheet on that so that we can take that, put it all into perspective with a spreadsheet, and then we can start to prioritize what needs to be addressed first, put it in a list and come down. If we need to get a warrant to be putting some money like we talked about tonight to be able to start purchasing some equipment for the town. So we're getting the ball rolling. It is alive. I know there are people who have always said that this is a wish list, but this is, again, I emphasize, this is part of what's happened to this town, is that we've lapsed in keeping control of the buildings, our equipment and stuff by not having a capital improvement program put in place so that we can address these issues as they come up and not get hit with huge amounts of money every year to drive the taxpayers out of their homes and make them have to move somewhere else. So it is going well. We are working on it, and we're doing the best we can at this time, Joe.
Okay. Is it going to be presented like within the next month or so before
Not
warrant
that
articles?
soon, no.
So how are we going to know what we need to do for warrant article if it's not done by the deadline?
Yeah, that occurred to me earlier tonight too, as we were starting to talk about it. And I kind of think we need like an update in maybe our next Board of Selectmen's meeting to discuss that, because I'm not sure we're going to hit people with all of them in this next warrant, but we would be like 15 months. It would take 15 months to do
the deadline for warrant articles? Is it November something?
Early December, I believe.
I think it's early December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this needs to be presented well before that.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is, where do we stand with the replacement for the Board of Selectmen Administrator?
Mark, do you want to talk to that?
Surely. So through you, Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Simone, we have a job description that Diane, I have to give Diane more a ton of credit, as well as going back through really a series of job descriptions that we've updated tonight. The board has endorsed it. We will be getting that out to various sources very shortly, Joe, as you know, because we've talked about this together, that this is a critical part of the administration. The board has endorsed the job description that we wrote and we'll be putting it out very shortly.
So are we looking maybe to have someone in place by December, hopefully?
I would say sooner than that myself, I would hope.
Has it gone out to...
It'll depend on candidates that we get, right?
Yeah. Well, this is true, but has it gone out yet to be posted?
I'm not sure you heard what I said, Joe, but the board just approved the job.
Okay, so it hasn't gone out
this
to be
evening.
posted yet, so...
That's the general assumption.
Okay.
I would assume probably as early as tomorrow it'll be on a lot of...
No, the reason I'm asking, I just want to make sure, because I know it's an integral part of everybody's job up here, and especially Mark's job, so I just want to make sure that we haven't lost sight of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Amanda, do you have something?
Amanda Aiello, Whittier Street. We were talking a lot about budgets tonight, so I was just curious if the board's ever considered having a budget committee for the town. I know several other small towns, Plastow, for instance, has a budget committee, and it makes for better, separation of duties and checks and balances. It's a good way to keep everybody kind of accountable, and a budget committee can look more into the figures and see where the adjustments can be made. So.
I know that we all took the budget training this year a couple of weeks ago, and budget committees were discussed in that training.
Yep.
You know, they bring extra hurdles as well as, you know, there are some positives to it. I really haven't given it much thought beyond that. I don't know if anybody has it.
I
Diane?
think that it would have to be a warrant article
Yeah.
to have that,
Yeah.
have a, to form a budget committee, and
Right,
then it would
right.
be elected people.
That's how Plus does it. It's all elected.
Right,
Yeah.
so then we need to get people to run for it. So
Right.
that would be the process.
But maybe down the road, I'm an
Yeah,
accountant,
yeah.
so budgeting, we're
Yeah.
in budget season right now, so.
You're nominated.
Calm down.
Yeah,
Write you in.
I think why Diane said it like that is sometimes we struggle to get people to run for things. So it'd be
Right.
another thing to struggle to get people to run for things. But yeah, down the road, it might be a good idea. It might be worth entertaining. But till you really brought it up, I hadn't given it much thought. But
Something I've thought about going over. I was actually looking at the town budgets from last year, and I was like, I wonder if they've ever considered that. So.
yeah, wouldn't be a bad idea. But
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Before we do these things, I'll just mention really quick, do you guys want to decide on trick or treat tonight? Because, and maybe
It's already in the
paper.
Yeah, it's October 31st.
okay, yeah, I'm spacing. I think I do this every year. We could go back and get the old tapes. I think there's a recording of me saying this every year.
Every year, right, October
Right?
31st.
I think we voted kind of in perpetuity to make it October
Right.
31st.
Yeah,
Okay.
not
all
to
right, so
change
we're good.
Halloween. And I believe it's 5 to 8?
5 to 8, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
To eight, yeah.
Okay, so next year I'll still be here, I think. So make sure you correct me again next year. Yeah. It depends on how long it takes you to get kids in costumes, though, because sometimes you're not out the door until 6. So, not that I have any firsthand knowledge, but. So, and then the only other thing is, if the board is okay, it's a little early, but Veterans Day, November 11th, we're talking about doing the ceremony, kind of like we did last year, 8 Merrimack Road by the flag, inviting all our veterans. And so if everybody's good with that, we'll kind of put that together.
Yep.
And I think that's all I have.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me,
Go ahead.
the records piece from the.
Oh, yes, thank you. So the Records Retention Board met yesterday, and what we kind of came up with was the idea, and we had kind of socialized this with the board already. Most of our records are right out there, so we wanted to identify a Saturday. Nobody get dressed up for this meeting. You're gonna want to wear old clothes and roll up our sleeves and just go through the records. We have our stuff from NHMA, what we need to kind of sift and sort through, but if we had multiple hands, and it's not just the Board of Selectmen, other departments, and quite frankly, we've heard from like 90% of the departments already. They've identified theirs, but anybody who needs to catch up, October 15th would be record sorting identification day. And so if October 15th, Saturday, it's a Saturday morning, 9 a.m., hopefully we're out of here by noon at the latest. Would that work for
If
people?
we're not, you're buying me lunch.
No.
What if we also, as we talked about, did a Friday? Because we,
Probably could, I don't know what.
is there a way that I could come in on a Friday? It's just, I know that weekend.
Oh, you have something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and actually, some of the folks in the meeting mentioned Friday as a possibility. So, I mean, I could probably swing it. It'd probably have to be later in the day.
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't sleep.
What are your thoughts, you guys? Is it kind of a pick a time and let you know?
Saturday's better for me.
Yeah.
Saturday's great for me, actually Friday is too, but
Yeah.
what time now?
Well, if we did it on the Saturday, we're thinking 9 a.m.
Okay.
So why
So
don't,
you could do this, because if there's more than 3 of you, right? If 3 or more, it's a meeting.
Right, so that's why we talked about it.
Two Saturdays.
Yeah.
true, yeah. And then it's kind of like when you ask your friends to help you move, the friends that come later in the day have less work to do. So
Yep.
you kind of want to show up on the Saturday. If somebody's going to be here on the Friday, maybe they'll do all the work. But yeah, why don't we plan on the 14th and the 15th,
Okay.
depending on who's available.
So you guys make sure you do a good job Friday.
Coffee, donuts, feet up. That's all I'm telling you.
But we will
Matt's going to be here. He'll clean that up.
communicate that to the town clerk, because I know she was going to, I think, work with Diane to send out the announcement. So I think that's it. I think we're good for the manifest, or to
I'll do
move on.
manifest.
Yeah.
Motion to sign vendor manifest dated October 4th, 2022, in the amount of $60,128.65, of which $21.95 for supplies to repair Greenie Park snack hatch, and $2,250 for cleaning and sanitizing town buildings comes from the ARPA fund.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Move to sign cable revolving fund vendor manifest dated October 4th, 2022, in the amount of $5,883.19.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to sign the police special detail revolving fund vendor manifest dated October 4th, 2022, in the amount of $36,333.88.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to sign the inspector fee revolving fund vendor manifest dated October 4th in the amount of $13,238.99.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to sign recreation revolving fund vendor manifest dated October 4th, 2022 in the amount of $2,748.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to sign payroll manifest for pay period September 11th through the 24th, 2022, with a pay date of September 29th, 2022. Total payroll is $77,303.81, which includes $895.99 ARPA administrative costs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Veterans Tax Credit. Move to sign the Veterans Tax Credit for tax map 8-3-11-43, starting April 1st, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes?
Move to accept the non-public and public meeting minutes dated September 20th, 2022 as written.
Second.
Seconded by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to accept the public hearing meeting minutes dated September 20th, 2022 as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, anything else for the board tonight? Is it still Tuesday? I mean, we've been here a while. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody have a good night. Thank you.